glasses.
There you go, get your microphone. Hey guys, welcome to Real Talk with Keith Smith. If you're wondering why you don't hear Jerry Miller's voice at the moment, Jerry has left me to my own devices, which never turns out well. But he's taking a little family break today, a little family time, and wish him all the best. And we're gonna miss him. He's Yona's my better 7/8, and Jerry's my better 7/8 at this. But I've got some awesome folks sitting across from me who are gonna help me get through this today. I got Candace and Michael, and these guys are gonna introduce themselves a little bit later. We were gonna kick the show off with half-year market data, but one of our guests couldn't join us today at the last minute, Gavin Sherwood, because he's got a deal falling apart. And I think we might just talk a little bit about how transactions are going these days and how things are difficult. And I've been doing this we're at 37 years. I can't believe I'm almost at the end of my third decade of doing this. And I don't remember transactions being this goofy. I don't know, do you guys?
So in 95, when I started first getting into working with people to help them buy a home, obviously I was working for a builder in Northern Virginia.
It's the voice of Michael Plecker, by the way.
The voice of Michael Plecker. We don't have Jerry here to
the best.
fill in the gaps and let everyone know who I am or who Candace is. But no, I mean it's a good point to bring up, because back then, obviously, I was a builder's rep working for a builder in Northern Virginia. I was the guy in the model home that when folks would come in, I would show them what we had, to offer as far as floor plans and lots and that sort of thing. But it was always noticeable if I did not have a reliable agent working for them, right, setting the proper expectations, helping to manage the emotions, and so forth. And it just really made all the difference in the world. It was a much better transition into a new home for folks if both parties were working in unison to make sure that everybody was taken care of and the I's dotted and the T's crossed. So that's something that has not changed.
Yeah, I get all that, and we're about ready to when Judah, aka the director, aka God, gives us the word to shut up. But I just don't ever remember these. It's just every transaction has got this weird stuff going on. So I just don't remember. How about you, Candace?
I really love what you said, Michael. None of this is new. I think that the difference is with so much technology and social media. There's just more of a need for education on why having proper representation is so critical. And it always has been, like you said. However, now we really need to reiterate that before our clients or our potential clients are in a situation that we could have avoided if they had proper representation.
Yeah, well, when we go live and the cameras come on, we'll re-kick this off a little bit. And, Jerry is awesome at keeping track of people who chime in and all this stuff. And those who've watched the show over the last 5 years know my ADD won't allow me to do that. So for those who are chiming in, thank you. I might not be able to get to read them, but I'm going to do my very best to try to read some of your comments and questions. But let's be honest, my ADD isn't going to exactly let me do that.
All right.
That's why you're so good at what you do.
All right, we need to be quiet, which is a hard thing with this group. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Real Talk with Keith Smith. If you've noticed, I'm not Jerry Miller doing the intro. Jerry today is taking a little bit of family time, so we wish him a good day. He's got a bit of a busy day ahead of him today, so we wish him all the best. And he left me to my lonesome, but I've got two great rock stars across the table from me. I've got Candace sitting in Jerry's spot, and Mike sitting in the backstop. area. But what we're going to do is we want to talk a little bit about mid-year numbers and kind of get I crunched a bunch of numbers last night, get your guys' read on it. But I'm gonna get on a soapbox a little bit here. But before I do that, I'm gonna let ladies go first. Candace, please introduce yourself real quick, and then we'll go to Michael and we'll jump in.
Hi, everybody. Candace I'm the owner of Buy and Sell Seville Team Realtors with Yes Realty Partners, Keller Williams Alliance. That is a mouthful, but I love it. Getting better at saying it every day. Enjoy being a realtor. I've been a realtor professionally full-time now, 13 years. All the changes, all the information and all the stuff, I think we're the best at pivoting in any industry because we have so much that we have to keep track of to better ourselves and our clients and make sure that we can represent properly and have amazing people on the other side of the transaction. So my nutshell of myself, I guess I'm passionate about education. I'm passionate about teaching people and learning, and come from the restaurant industry, so customer service is key. And I love selling and helping people sell and buy properties.
You've been on the show a bunch of times.
I have. So it's a different spiel today than normal.
Different spiel. I like that spiel.
Yeah.
I believe that's a Jewish terminology, spiel. Tell us something that nobody knows about you that you'd like to share.
Oh my God! Well, anybody that knows me knows I love fiber work, crocheting, spinning. My baby Bert. Again, everybody should know him. He's the client morale specialist.
So Bert's the dog. Bert's your puppy.
Yeah, Bert's the golden doodle. He's been with me now almost. Actually, he's almost 10 years old. Been with me that long. And helping people. Everybody loves him. But I've been teaching myself how to spin his fur into yarn. So then when I make client gifts or special things, it's actually from Bert.
Time out.
I have a German Shepherd, so you're welcome to come
Woody,
over and
I keep
spin
telling
all the
Woody,
fur
I
you
need
want.
his dog's fur because he's got those Australian Shepherds, and I'll have more than enough if I had that.
Yeah, so. I'm about to say, my forest is shedding like crazy. If you want some hair.
Well, his won't work, or it's a little needly. It needs to be a longer staple. But weaving class tomorrow, Central Virginia
Are you teaching
CVFG. Oh no, I'm learning it. But it's a fiber guild. It's amazing. It's super cheap. But we have amazing people in our area in any walk of life or any hobby you want to get into. So let me get this straight.
You're taking hair off your dog.
I'm brushing it or cutting it.
You're taking hair off your dog to make housewarming gifts. Am I hearing that right?
I mean, shoot,
Wow.
He's so fluffy and furry, and everybody loves petting him.
Now that
I mean,
is
you just love it.
I got to tell you.
Well, that is how much we care as realtors and professionals and service individuals. We have our restaurateurs.
Hold on a second. I'm
we have all
texting PETA.
Yeah, good. I'll make them some gifts too. Yeah.
Michael, introduce yourself.
I don't even know what to say after making sweaters out of dog fur. I mean, I can't. It's hard.
I think
to
the show is
follow
over. We're done.
I think it's cool.
We're done.
Like I said, I have a German Shepherd at home. You're more than welcome to come over and gather up all the fur you want.
Yeah.
But no, Mike Plecker, realtor, and started off in the new home business in Northern Virginia in 1995, and put my 60 and 70 hours a week in for many years. But longtime resident of Charlottesville. I can say that now.
The other side of the hill, right? That's
I came from the Valley. Originated there along with my wife, and but we spent 17 years or so in Northern Virginia, and we decided it was no longer for us, so we moved here in July of 2005 to Pantops. And anybody that knows me or follows my pages knows that I'm all about Pantops, the views, and the community that's up there.
We're going to talk a little bit about that when we get into the market. When the market side of things, I didn't do slides for the other side of the hill, but just to share a quick number for you, and maybe you can do a quick comment on it. So when we get to slides, we're talking about the first 6 months of this year versus the first 6 months of last year, and I actually called everybody up to find out what's closing today, so we had accurate numbers. But 2024, there were 729 transactions. So this is Augusta, Waynesboro, and Stanton. The median sales price was $301, right? 2023, it was $625, so it's up about 9%. So Augusta County, when we get into a little while, is one of the few counties that are actually increasing in sales. but it stayed flat. It was 300,000. To me, that's flat.
My
300
The
my
price that
question with that, though, is
why.
new construction. How many permits are being pulled in Augusta right now?
So I didn't break it down that way. So this is
I'd be curious. I
This
think
is
that's
everything. I was up to 2:00 in the morning working on this, Candace. So I'll get
Should-
that on
I was up as well.
future shows.
You should call me.
But tell us something about, everybody knows you used to be, you were a backstop and you were in the minor leagues of the Mets, so we kind of got all that out.
Sure.
Tell
sure.
us something that we
Back
don't know.
when mustaches were still popular in baseball, but they're making a comeback, yeah. Some people,
I've been getting multiple
some people never phased out of them. But,
I've never phased out of them. So tell us something we don't know about
Well,
you.
I think we all know that. I mean, Augusta County, traditionally, especially long before me and through the time that I grew up there, was an industrially
Sure.
based and agricultural market, and the demographics were blue collar, and then, farmers, and then there was some companies there that, with a little bit different flavor to it, but historically that's what it's been. It has, like many other areas in the country, sort of transitioned away from that somewhat, and there's more of a mix there now. There's some tech companies that's come in, a lot of folks working from home. Waynesboro being designated as one of the top 3 places in the country to retire because of the cost of living and healthcare. So you've seen a gradual blending, so to speak, of demographics and employers and that sort of thing over there. But it's changing, I think, more rapidly, and I think the slide, we don't have a slide on that one, but the numbers that you talked about with Augusta County and Waynesboro, the change that you're seeing in price and in units being sold, I think is a direct result of the expense and the lack of inventory on this side of the mountain.
So I want to talk a little bit about why Gavin isn't here and kind of get on a soapbox a little bit, but there's two, guys be thinking about this. There's 2 jurisdictions in the first 6 months of this year that stayed flat year over year. It was Augusta at 300, and it was Fluvanna County at 350. So the prices stayed exact. Think a little bit about why you think that was.
Well,
You wanna jump in?
I do, and
I want to
this
talk about
is
why Gavin's not here, though. at some point.
yeah. Oh no, this all comes in. So again, I'm a huge proponent on when something happens that is unfavorable. There's a learning opportunity. Maybe the person on the other side, or maybe someone in the transaction, is unaware of what is supposed to happen, right? So education is key. Working from home and the infrastructure, the cost of living and healthcare, these counties that are the municipalities in the counties, Nelson as well, that are taking on for a decade now. I remember, places that put in the infrastructure, high-speed internet capability, water and sewer options, opening up to development and or bringing in gas stations where you're building 300 unit neighborhoods. There's no gas station within 20 minutes, right? So the infrastructure, the municipalities, Scottsville's another one. I believe that if people rally and have a voice to aid in those things, that's where we're seeing this increase and or permitting increase or desirability to live in that area.
But I want to take this a different way because I talk about this all the time, the 6 rights, right? Right location, price, features, condition, timing, and who's on the other side matters. Gavin's not here today, and we won't go into specifics because we're still trying to figure out how to make this happen on it. But that's not why this is happening. This is frankly a lack of professionalism on the other side, and I'm just going to say it out there publicly. He had a closing this morning that was supposed to happen at 9, which would have made enough time to get here. Again, no specific details. Did the walkthrough at 7 o'clock in the morning, and people didn't move out. So that's a matter of a real estate agent that's supposedly been in the business for a couple of decades, not communicating with their client what the expectations are that they go ahead and he rolls in that, and this is not a good thing because they need to close because they got moving trucks on the way, and it's this whole big mess is because the other side wasn't communicating. And that's kind of what I want to, kick it off. The level of professionalism that I'm seeing, maybe I'm wrong. I had a cash transaction in Richmond close yesterday that I couldn't get receipts from a HERCA for, a home inspection. So it just seems, I don't know if it's just my transactions that we've got going on, but are you seeing things getting a little goofy?
I mean, so we could sit here and probably have a roundtable for the next hour or two about the different reasons why it may be occurring, if you think you're seeing it more often. I don't want to go there, but I would like to pick up on the fact that the importance of having someone, you're managing in a buyer and seller situation, you're managing expectations and emotions for the seller and for the buyer. And it is beyond important that you have someone on the other side of the transaction that has been in communication with you to maybe fend off any things that may be coming down the road, because the ultimate goal or the goal of any realtor, especially if you're working with one on the other side, whether they're a buyer's agent or a seller's agent, is you want happy clients at the end. You want them, even though things come up during a transaction that may not be as pleasant for them as you would like them to be, you want to at least have them have the proper expectations set so that everything continues to move forward. And it's...
I think what concerns me, and Candace, you can jump in on this, I think what concerns me the most at the moment as a real estate profession, we're about ready to have this change happen, right? It's going to happen in August, right? And the only way that that's really going to work is everybody on both sides of the transaction have to communicate.
Well, they're going to be forced to communicate now because of the change.
Are they really?
Yeah, well...
So I mean this is a situation. I mean, the broker's not responding, the agent's not responding, the loan officer's not responding.
Honestly, though, that happens.
Yeah.
I won't use profanity, but that happens. It always has. It always will. There are professionals in every industry that don't do their job properly. Sorry. We can do the best we can do. There's 1,200 agents just in our little area, and 300 do all the transactions, even if they've been in the business for 50 years. Sure. I mean, there's a property, a very, very substantial property with an extremely amazing realtor who's been in the industry for a long time, who has it incorrectly labeled as not in a subdivision. I mean, people are looking for it and can't find it. Yeah. People make mistakes, but there's also professionalism. If the weatherman makes a mistake, we expect that. When people are looking to a professional to do their job, again, communicate properly, set the expectations, tell them, look, this ain't going to happen. Sorry. Here's what we can do. Here's legally what our recourse is. We're not attorneys, but here's our resources.
You can just follow my Facebook page for weather.
Totally. Oh, I know. You're probably better.
If it's raining outside, I'll tell you it's raining. Right?
Well, no, stick
where can
works
you go wrong?
Better.
I got to tell you, I actually do follow your Facebook page for weather.
Well, I'll tell you, that's a 15-second quick story, because a long time ago when the girls were little, we lived in Northern Virginia. It was a hot August pool party one of the girls had with some of her friends, and we darn near got caught in a tornado.
Oh, wow.
By the time we got home, chimneys were blowing off of houses. Oh, wow. Limbs were falling off into our swimming pool, and we stood in the basement and watched hail, that large, and I said...
I just think secretly you
I
said
at that point, I said, hey, we're never going to get caught in a situation again. So I'm always like...
He's just promoting
if there's
his
a storm
Facebook
coming,
page.
I'll tell you. But we've all been in this situation. I can't tell you whether the problem is increasing. All I can tell you is that with the number of transactions that have been involved in where we haven't had good representation on the other side, we're going into a big change in the industry. Yeah. And those folks, I think, are to exacerbate the problem.
Who's on the other side always did matter, is going to matter even more. I'll get off my soapbox a little bit. It's just it's concerning to me that it's just a simple thing of not having a house ready to close on the morning.
Well, and too, as professionals with amazing pro on the other side, thankfully I've been fortunate to work with such amazing realtors on the other side as well. And you know what? Sometimes our clients don't do what we tell them to do. Oh yeah. And I've had a number of times where I think the big word of the day is communication. And whenever this stuff happens, there are protocols and rules. Again, I am on the board of our
Yeah, yeah.
Realtor Association. So
There you go.
again,
Good
there are
disclosure.
protocols and rules and ways to go about, and I have given the suggestions to the agents in this situation as well, that, you know what, do the best, like Michael said, do the best for your client, be honest and set the expectations. If you're not moving in today, obviously, so and this was hopefully a
If
little
I've got
bit
a seller that
expected
has-
beforehand.
We'll get this fixed.
If
and
I've got a
It
seller
will.
that hasn't
It'll
packed
work
anything
out.
3 days before closing, I'm showing up with boxes.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've been throwing
that's-
things in
and
dumpsters
Michael,
off a
that's
balcony.
the point. The point is that the other side isn't communicating.
Sure.
Yeah.
No,
It's
I mean-
not the problem that they can't move out. That happens all the
Right.
time.
Well, so like Candace
Right.
said, this association is full of professional agents.
yeah.
I can't tell you how many transactions I've done with other agents.
So
on their
that you
side
know
I-
this agent is not
I love
part of our
doing work with them.
association.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're great to work with, and both sides are happy, and everything moves smoothly. And then there's the ones that just
This
turn
is a
into,
Northern Virginia
You know what
agent,
though?
by the way.
And
this
you
is
know
they
what?
turn into ghost on you sometimes.
Yeah, without doubt.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
The best thing though, here's the key, okay? Everybody, here's the secret. As a person who's looking for a realtor, make sure you get a really good one, because it could make or break. You could have a great offer, but they go, ooh, that agent, they don't know what they're doing. I don't trust this offer from this agent, because I know from the past experience, they're out their mind, or they're not professional, or what have you.
kinda-
So your clients are really needing to make sure that you have a professional on your side that knows what you're doing.
Woody Fincham brings this up all the time. You know, we refer out, right? So if there's something in Northern Virginia that we have a client, we refer it out to somebody who's an expert in that market. In this particular case, I don't think this agent should be listing something in our region. But we'll go ahead. You want to jump in?
I'm sorry. That was an interesting point you just made.
Yeah.
But because of the, the flatness I see in the market as far as the number of sales, and the fact that the inventory is way down, you see a lot more agents from out of town
Oh, yeah.
doing work in this area, especially from Richmond, Northern Virginia agents. So yeah, they're
So it's interesting. All you have to do, if anybody gets into Paragon, start switching the originating boards from Carr to Bright and back and forth, and you can see those numbers jump up and down drastically. But I do want to supposed to be doing numbers today. So let's take a look, Jude, if you don't mind, slide number 1, right? So what I did on that is I just took a look at the Carr footprint, right? This is all product types, new construction, condos, townhomes, yada, so forth and so on in it. And I wanted to see what the difference was in the first slide of first quarter versus second quarter. So the bottom line is we're up by sales by about 49%, about 50% jump quarter over quarter. And I'm going to let you guys chime in on what you think about that. But price has gone up 7%.
so again, we're talking first quarter to second quarter,
This
where
is first quarter to second
typically you do get an increase.
There you go.
Okay.
Talk about that for a second.
Okay.
Talk
You want me
about
to
what-
okay,
yeah,
well,
go into that.
first slide. So
So we're back to seasonal is kind of what
back to
we're
seasonal type things. Yeah, it's more of a normalized market where I think what I typically start talking to sellers about being prepared around Valentine's Day or shortly after, if they want to get in on the early spring market. But yeah, this sort of just shows.
If Jerry was here, he would be asking you this question. So what do you think the third quarter is going to look like?
Flat.
Yeah. Candace?
Yeah.
Versus
flat,
the second?
Flat. Yeah.
Because you asked a question
Yeah.
by an email to the group, I believe. It may have been on one of the shows, where have we plateaued?
Yeah.
And it's just my feeling, sort of, reading the tea leaves, that I think we probably have somewhat plateaued on sales and pricing.
I think it's timing. What number is your timing slide? I don't remember, but
That'd be
I
number
think
5.
it's really just
That'd be
timing.
Number 5 is time. Number
People
5 is time.
last year, the Lawrence and everybody, all the economic forecasts were what was going to happen, and then it didn't happen. So now
Jeez.
the forecast, well, it changed. Yes, we pivoted.
Pivot. Yeah. That was a word of the year one year on our show. I can't remember
I just
what
always
year.
think of the Friends
Pivot.
episode of the couch moving furniture. Pivot. But yeah, so I think what I would imagine is, again, some of the outlying communities where construction permits have been ordered and issued, and now things are starting. I'd say Q3, Q4, there's going to be more movement and more activity in some areas, and
So
then
Greene
others
County,
are going to be
when we get the Greene
flagging.
County's numbers, you're going to see that as a big impact on it. So slide number 2, if you don't mind, Judah. So this is Charlottesville footprint, right? Same, all product types, new construction, so forth and so on. But what I did is I compared first half of 23 versus first half of 24. You know, I like this bigger 6-month block, right, than these little quarter blocks on it. But sales were down 5%, so we are selling 5% less homes than we were the same period last year, but we're up 7%. So
Again,
prices are going
inventory,
up,
I
volume
think.
is going down.
Yeah.
You know, just back to this professional conversation we were having. I think that's going to put more pressure on our industry than this whole commission thing will ever do on it.
No, speaking in general terms, if I say it seems to me that things that might have plateaued, I look in longer blocks,
Yeah.
like you just described.
Yeah.
I mean, and there are still pockets. It's the way it used to be, somewhat, where you have hot pockets, so to speak,
Hot
right?
pockets.
Hot pockets.
Hot pockets.
That's a plug.
Hot pocket.
Yeah, Jim Gaffigan.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
Gaffigan.
Hot pockets.
I'm going to see him in September in Richmond or so with my
Oh, yeah,
sister,
cool.
Roanoke. Yeah, I love him. He's
Cool.
So you get
Hot
the
pockets. I'm going to have that in my head the whole show.
specific locations where you may see a bump
Judah
in
needs to pull
sales
up a hot
or
pocket.
a higher appreciation rate, but
He's doing
again,
nothing
generally
else.
speaking, it just feels we're going a little plateau here. We're going
I
flat
can't-
on
thanks.
sales.
I got it in my head.
Well,
Hot pockets.
You know
Yeah.
what was interesting?
You're
So I
welcome.
mentioned it to
Thank
Michael
you.
too, because Keith is amazing and had all this stuff for like days
Oh,
now. He's
stop
prepping
it.
and telling us and getting ready, and so we had a lot of ability to analyze this and act like we know what we're talking about because you did all the legwork. So, but in looking at it, it really was interesting. I thought the big chunk numbers really were not that different than expected
But when you
year
get
over
into the
year.
jurisdictions-
Yeah, and then individual jurisdictions and the quarter to quarter type of differences really made
So
an
which-
impact.
which-
so I thought that was weird.
Which jurisdiction do you think was that we should kick off to talk about
Oh, gosh.
on an individual?
How about the one my wife and I would like to move to one day?
And which
Nelson.
is
Nelson.
Nelson
Say the one with the
County.
biggest
That
numbers.
is interesting. Let's see. Nelson
Number
County.
7,
Nelson
slide
County.
7.
Nelson County. That's why we were hoping Gavin would be here. Hold on a second. So that's slide number 7, Judah.
Yeah, Gavin Sherwood is amazing. He's in the wintergreen snow adaptive sports and helped teach my daughter. Thank you, Gavin. Shout out. If I have questions or people that direction, he's, like we said, referring to realtors in areas. There's different localities that really have specifics, and communicating and knowing and promo to like be part of groups and organizations in whatever profession you are. But, you know, knowing other agents in other areas. If I got a question in Nelson, I'll call Gavin, or Waynesboro. I'll call Michael. You know, Jenny over in Greene, or Matthew. You know, so everywhere the localities, it might be like, hey, what are you seeing here? Because, you know, I go all over the 6 counties and areas and that. I'm really confident and comfortable there, but not everybody is comfortable or confident in traveling in those
I wanted
places.
to ask Gavin this question. Same 6 months last year versus this year. Prices jumped 21%. Prices went up 21%. Went from $330 last year, first 6 months, to $409. That sounds like a Windex thing. 409, right? Isn't that like a?
Isn't it?
We got
That's
hot
right.
pockets. We got
We got
hot pockets.
hot pockets. We got
Pockets.
409.
But I think you know what?
was it?
Formula
They're-
409.
Formula 409. Is that for the gray hair?
It's like
No, that's
Ajax.
Grecian.
That's Grecian formula. Yeah.
But no, I think, you know, again, I go back to look at when the infrastructure
is
was
that?
put in.
Why do you think that is?
High-speed internet, change of people working from home, opportunity to upgrade and make really cool,
But it was
funky
going the
new
other
stuff.
Way, Candace. It was.
But the infrastructure's there.
Yeah.
Now it matters. Now people can go and live in places that are rural and have high speed.
That's
When
a huge
down
jump.
Milton, like down Keswick, no high speed internet. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
So really affluent, beautiful communities sometimes don't have the infrastructure that these rural, beautiful farmland places have.
I think
I think that's what's happened in the last few years.
like I said, we'll have
Well-
to get Gavin back on to talk about why he thinks that's going on. from an
so.
expert perspective.
You know, it's if it's looking at concentric circles I think you've used this term before. Your better half doesn't like the term drive till you qualify.
No, I don't like it either.
People have different reasons for moving away from the expensive center, which here would be Charlottesville. I think that we've pushed people now that really want to buy a home out a little further, and Candace is absolutely correct. The infrastructure for Firefly, broadband internet, that sort of thing, other attractions, restaurants, that sort of thing that's being built out in northern Nelson along 151 sort of helps, attract people out there. But it may be that there's such sticker shock in town that if I was an agent out there, I would maybe try to push the envelope a little bit on pricing, because
City of Charlottesville is median price is $520
Yeah.
first half.
yeah.
Up 14
Yeah,
and a
but what's
half.
the square footage of a 520?
Yeah.
What's our price per square
That's a
foot
whole-
there?
that's
a
a
whole
whole
nother.
different-
That's a whole
that's
nother
a
round
whole
table.
different thing.
Which is,
But it makes a
It goes
difference.
back to what it always
Again.
has been.
Yeah.
Honey,
Yeah.
I'd like to
Size
have a
of the
little
lot.
more house. We can get a lot more house in Nelson County than we can, and have a little bit more lot around us than we can in Charlottesville.
But
And
one of the struggles
You know.
with Nelson County and Louisa, and these are big numbers, right? These are big lookout, high level, not into the details, because literally I put it all together last night. But I can't tell you how much of that's in Wintergreen and how much is that, because I didn't break it down that far. And as we go on during the next month, we're going to start taking deeper dives into individual areas. But the bottom line is, Charlottesville's at 520, up 14.5%. Sales are up 2.5%. I'm just going to buzz through these real quick. Albemarle County is down 11%, but up 7% in price, so down in sales. Fluvanna County, this is the one I want to talk about, is down by 11%, but it stayed flat at 350 last year versus this year, same 6-month thing. Open in Greene County, which is we've been talking about looking for a boost there. They did. They're almost up 10% in volume, and they're up about 4%. So they're up 9.5%.
Yeah.
Let's go. I want to take a dive into Fluvanna real quick, because Fluvanna, and I don't have a slide for it, in Augusta stayed flat. The Augusta
Slide 5
Waynesboro
is
Stanton.
Fluvanna.
That's slide number 5, if you don't mind, Judah. I know I'm moving you around a little bit. So slide number 5 is
Keep 'em on toes.
Fluvanna. Bottom left corner of the slide numbers. So Fluvanna, this is Lake Monticello in the county, right? So this is all one big look at the whole jurisdiction. Last year, same 6 months, was at 350. This year it's at 350. We didn't climb. So all the other jurisdictions climbed in some other percentage, right? Increased in price. Fluvanna didn't. What do you think that is, guys? I've got a theory. I was curious what yours is.
I've got a theory. I want to hear Michael's.
I can answer that question better about Augusta.
Okay,
or
answer about
Waynesboro.
Augusta. Go ahead.
They're building inventory. They're building apartment rentals, a lot of those, but they're building inventory over there.
So you're up 9%. You're up so you're roughly in Augusta, Waynesboro, Stanton, up 10%, while Fluvanna's down 11%. So let's say percentage-wise, it's inverted.
Yeah.
You think that's it?
Well, so earlier we were talking about Augusta County, and I said I've watched it grow,
Yeah.
the demographics change, that sort of thing. I was sort of bringing it up to the point where it's at now, which I see as we're going to start leveling off over there somewhat. But I think, again, people are looking at that side of the mountain. There's inventory to be bought, especially along the Hope and Parkway area in Waynesboro. You get Atlantic Builders over there. Ryan Holmes is building. D.R. Horton is in the area over there
Big
now.
time.
Yeah, big time. And they're I know
They are
land is
sniffing
getting
like
snatched
crazy.
up
Oh, yeah.
over there, because I've actually spoken to some folks that were selling on that side of the mountain and marketing it directly to builders. They just approved another 400 townhome community within the city limits of Waynesboro, right?
Really?
Yeah, where the old district home used to be, at the end of Hopeman Parkway. And I know my grandfather and grandmother on my dad's side, they actually stayed at the district home back in the 70s, but it's just been a dilapidated pile of asbestos for years.
Yeah.
They finally sold it. They're remediating all of that stuff out, and it's going to be 400 townhomes. And that's also on Hopeman Parkway right there.
So
what,
again, though, I always go back to this. Let's look back. What happened a few years ago to now have this happen? The municipality is open to change and open to growth. The infrastructure and the development and the opportunity to build without having 9 months of waiting for one permit to even see if you can break ground. That's what happens. The time delay and cost for development in Albemarle, Charlottesville is thank you for doing the best you can, everybody, but it is long and costly.
And
therefore, let's go out and have it done elsewhere.
and Augusta and that part of the world is very friendly.
They're welcoming new business
they're
and
more
job
receptive.
opportunities.
Let's use those words. Fluvanna, on the other hand, is forget about it.
Well, so here's my theory on these.
But I really want to hear why you think that price has to
Yeah.
change.
So Fluvanna, my assumption is what I'm seeing, and obviously you're out there building and doing all that stuff all the time. With Fluvanna, amazing. I love the 3-bed, 2-bath ranch. Put it on a basement, put a cape on it, do a little wing with the garage. I don't care what it is, but that product sells in Fluvanna. Around the lake, anywhere out there. It's a great home. It's a great starter home. The cost to build it is really doable. Most every builder has some floor plan and a set budget, right? You chintz it out with some Formica or butcher block and carpet, or fancy it up with granite and gold all over the place. But it's still a set plan that's always
no new
amazing.
construction happening in Fluvanna other than Colonial Circle, and I'm going to give a little tease for everybody. Stanley Martin's starting to go vertical over there at Colonial Circle.
Are they?
Oh yeah, there's a foundation in the ground. Lumber's been dropped. We're going to talk a little bit about that next Friday. Yona's going to come in next Friday, and we do our annual 4th of July thing. Which,
yeah.
So we're excited to do that. But we're going to talk a little bit about that. I'm getting some information from Stanley Martin on price and expectations. So we'll stay tuned for that. We'll talk a little bit more about that.
But I think that the
Friday.
size of the home matters. And so the flat price, I think, because it is an amazing community and a lot of the sales may be a certain square foot or home style that is more affordable, which is why there's more of that flat pricing.
So this is my opinion, why I think the other side of the hill's flat at 300, where Lake Monticello or Fluvanna County, it's the interest rates is finally kicking in for that. Because when you start looking at these other homes that are $400,000, $500,000, $600,000, $700,000, $800,000, generally they have a little bit more cash, right? And I haven't done that.
Conventional loans.
I haven't done that breakdown yet on it, how much transactions were cash or not, which I'm working on for the rest of the month on that. But most of the stuff out in Fluvanna County is financed.
Yep. And a lot of opportunity to finance because it's in an area that's able to get financing.
But the point I'm trying to make here is I think the reason it stayed flat is it didn't increase is because the buyer has to get a loan, and with these interest rates climbing, it's becoming less affordable, right, and more difficult. I don't know this for detail. This is my assessment after finishing this up at 0 dark 30 in the morning going, okay, why is that flat on that? And I think it's the same thing over on the other side of the hill.
It is. So that's a good point. I haven't mentioned interest rates very timely that you just brought it up. I think part of that also, though, in Waynesboro, there's competition.
Yeah, sure.
You know, so it's not a large area as far as the populace goes. It's not a hugely populated area. It's a big geographic area over there. But you have several builders all competing in the Waynesboro city limits and just outside the city limits now.
So
that's going to help. That helps. Competition helps pricing as far as, keeping things more in a normal, 3.5% appreciation rate.
So I'm kind of old school.
And prices.
Somebody called these Bob Barker cards, right?
You need the
Anybody
tiny
remember
mic.
Bob
You need
Barker?
the tiny mic. Do that then.
Bob Barker cards. To your point, first half of 2024 in Fluvanna County, we were down 17% in sales, right? We were at 178. Augusta, Waynesboro, and Stanton were at 730 transactions. So I'm not smart enough to figure out what the percentage difference on that, but we were in Fluvanna about 178. The other side of the hill was 729. I can agree with that argument. The other side of the hill is more is being built, it's stabilizing prices. It kind of goes to my soapbox I've been getting on, is letting more building happen. It'll stabilize prices,
Yeah.
I think,
Yeah.
a little bit. But that's not happening in Fluvanna County. We're not building new product in Fluvanna County.
So if you're talking about a mobile population now,
I'm sorry?
if you're talking about a mobile, more mobile population as far as being able to go different places and buy homes, sometimes jurisdictions see a bump, and maybe Fluvanna's flat because people are now getting more attracted to the Waynesboro side of things.
Well, I think you're 100% right.
Well,
you
here's
know,
the thing too. Look at the
$50,000
roads. Look
makes
at the
a
roads to
difference.
get there.
At 7%.
Oh, absolutely.
You know?
Look at the roads, windy, curvy back roads,
Oh.
slower speeds.
my road,
more.
curvy roads.
No, I love it. I mean, shoot, I love driving down to,
My
how many country songs can you sing?
My truck sometimes makes a right over at the Vineyard on the way home. I just
But-
kind of does
It
it.
just
However-
slows down in the parking lot.
It just goes. It's amazing how it
It just
works.
knows where to go.
I don't. It must be a GPS thing. I don't know.
It's a mental GPS. So I wanted to touch base. So I believe, most people I find, because again, I sell in all the surrounding counties. I'm very comfortable in all of them. Love it. People that are not open to, willing, or intimidated by driving a curvy road and not used to it, they will not even go to the location. So I think some of that, again, location, what slide number one thing, so I wanted to touch base real quick, though, on Augusta County. And you said
Sure.
the inventory has grown, the product is better. What I'm looking at is over there, and I love Augusta, I love Waynesboro, played golf at Waynesboro Country Club for, a long time. Augusta Healthcare Center tennis facility is freaking amazing. Love it. The pros, the cleanliness, it's amazing over there. There's jobs, it's clean. You go to any fast food place, and it's like you feel like you're in a 5-star restaurant. Thank you for all of your services. So anyway, having that kind of lifestyle, and you can hop on 64, you're there in 28 minutes to downtown Charlottesville. It takes me 20 minutes from Albemarle High School to get downtown, right? So I think the roads and the opportunity to drive, the businesses like restaurants and shopping, back in the day, Lake Monticello, Fluvanna, thank you for having more grocery stores and restaurants around. But I think that the communities and areas that are building, opening, their conservation or their comprehensive growth plans are set in place, and then they follow and achieve those goals. Remember back 12 to 15 years ago, Louisa put in the infrastructure, pre-Zion's Crossroads and that. They did all that.
Try about 40 years ago.
Was it 40? Well, I wasn't doing real estate then. I was just a few years off. But so ultimately, back when I started, I saw this happening, and there are other places that have opportunity to grow, but maybe that's not in their plan. So with competition, if you look over, I'll get off my soapbox, but I wanted to say the inventory and the product and the pricing, right, over in Augusta County. How many years owned are those places? Because going over there, Trees Streets, all the different really beautiful communities, it's generational families living there. They have builders competing. They're going to want to bump their prices up, and they're going to want more value for whatever land or farm or whatever. But then the builders have the opportunity to price that out and break it down per unit and cost, and then offer a product that's desirable or
Build or sell payment.
yeah.
That's what builders sell payment, and
Yep.
to Keith's point, the payments they're selling now are higher than the payments that they were. But one aspect we haven't talked about as far as Augusta and some of the growth of it, I'm making a real quick point,
Yeah, sure.
is the industry that's been brought to the area.
Yeah, the jobs.
You got Amazon distribution center, you got a Target distribution center, you have a Walmart distribution center. There's
We could
also
talk about
been-
the same thing for Louisa County.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
and road access, again, 64, hop in, hop off. At Zion's in Fluvanna, you make a right, Mike, in all those commercial operations there, prime. But the infrastructure hadn't been put in back in the day, so now we're just playing backlog, and it's more expensive to do so, and it
Well-
takes more time and
well,
energy.
I mean, I intimately know the whole Zion's Crossroads area. I've been involved in it for decades. The growth area on the Fluvanna County side is tiny, minuscule. So, at some point, they're going to have to consider expanding that. There's not the political will to do that,
Right.
probably for several election cycles on it. Till then, Louisa County is going to kick my county.
Well, in the growth area over there too, you've got Louisa and Fluvanna that are intermingled along that line, kind of through the growth area, don't you? As far as so you've almost got two jurisdictions in the middle of
The Bibees and all that.
sort of where the growth area would be.
But I say, you know what? For industry or companies that are looking to have a warehouse or, storage units and pods, conditioned units, that's a major thing. I've been going over to Lake Anna in Louisa a lot lately. It's such a beautiful area. And with our Association of Realtors, we always have we have Young Professionals Network and Women's Council of Realtors and all these different groups that bring in the zoning officials. Reed was just in talking to us about all the city of Charlottesville zoning changes. Amazing information. And the beautiful thing is, unlike Northern Virginia, unlike Richmond, unlike these areas, this is a local small town. I mean, we know each other. I'm stuck on the road or lock myself out. I've got the cell phone number of the agent usually in my phone somewhere and need to get help. But thankfully, that only happened once in 13 years. But it's nice to have a small town community feel with a lot of variety. The agriculture, the growth in Nelson and that with the breweries and the vineyards and all of the opportunity for industry as well as jobs. Then that creates the real estate and residential.
So while you guys were chatting, I was doing some number crunching on...
I saw the smoke.
Oh, yeah, no.
I thought it was a hamster.
Thanks, Michael. Augusta, Waynesboro, and Stanton, right? So basically, I took a look at how much from year to date was new construction out of this, let's call it 800, 700, 800 units, 200. So 200 of the total transactions that sold, let me double check that, make sure I got this in the right thing before I make a mistake.
Or is that you said in Nelson, Augusta?
Hold on a second.
Augusta, Waynesboro.
I apologize, I had active in there too. 110. So out of 729, 110 of them are new construction.
But it wasn't that long ago, Keith, that
And I'll
number
tell
would have
you,
been almost non-existent.
Yeah.
Well, that's because they made the decision to do that.
Sure.
But Fluvanna County is 25 out of, let me get my number, 178. So I don't know what the percentage differences are, but that's the difference. The difference is that they're allowing new construction, which is stabilizing the prices a little bit. You don't have these 10, 12 double-digit price increases, which is great if you own, right?
Right.
But if you're trying to get in the market and buy, if you wait 6 months, right? If you're waiting 6 months in, pick a county. How about Greene County? Let's go to Greene County. Let's go to Fluvanna. I got to get my slides. I got them all mixed up. So that's slide number 6, Judah. If you were waited 6 months,
Oh, yeah.
you're up 4%. You're paying 4% more for the house than you were 6 months ago. So, now's the right time to buy. I got to check my phone. My phone's blowing up.
I was going to say, Jerry, kudos to you for being able to pull in. I'm sure we have a lot of feeds and a lot of people asking questions and that. And you can call us anytime. Numbers are all over the place.
I'm having a lot of fun, but don't tell Jerry this. I do miss him across the table from me.
Hey, I think he already knows that.
Well, you guys have developed a chemistry where he knows that you're in midpoint of looking to find another piece of data.
No, he knows how to manage.
He can carry it while your wheels are turning over there. So
he has a special skill to manage Smith's ADD.
Yeah.
So
well,
I do miss him.
We're kind of getting down towards the end. There's one thing, I'm sorry, that we really haven't mentioned, and we're talking about inventory. We're talking about the appreciation rates houses are getting. We're and breaking it down by jurisdiction. And, we haven't addressed that for some folks that may be a little intimidating to look at maybe purchasing at this time.
So how does that kitchen table look?
My point is this. My wife and I bought our first house in '92. We had a 3-1 arm with a 2-1 buy down or something. I can't even remember the program they put us in, but they sold us the payment and it fit in our budget. Was it the house, our dream home? No. But even with that, and even through other buying and selling of homes in up markets or down markets, the bottom line, it is still the best foundation for any financial portfolio
Yep.
is buying a home, and the interest rates aren't going to last forever. Not in my lifetime, they're ever going to go back to 3.
No, it shouldn't be.
And they're actually now in the normal range.
Well, the average from 1972 is 7.1%.
Yeah.
So we're at that. I look, we can crystal ball the hell out of this. You know,
You can get
I'm going to be as about right as Yoon's going to be. Lawrence Yoon's going to be, right? But
Yeah.
I think you're going to see after the election interest rates drop. Historically, that's what happens.
Yep.
And
Yeah, Q4 will be big.
well,
I think Q4. That's what I was about to ask you. I think Q3 is going to be a little flat.
I think it'll be slightly. I think it'll be about what we were from 1 to 2.
You think second to third
I think it'll
quarter.
be. Yeah, I think it'll stay pretty even because there's still stuff happening. There's things in transition and transaction and in the works. But I think Q4 is really going to pop.
it's going to take a while to wash out. But see, this is a headline of an article
What's
that I
it
was
say?
reading again this morning. That a key
So
fact,
they're raising it from 2% to 2.6 is their ceiling, their floor, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
I've
We're
been
still
so
pretty-
the
only supposed to
interest
be
rate,
2 above
the whole
that.
inflation thing is still.
You're talking about they're raising their target. Let's make sure I got this right. They're raising their target from 2% to some other number.
Yeah, the inflation rate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Jerry and I have been talking about this for a while. That I think that's what you're going to see happen. That somewhere between 2.5 and 3 is now the new norm.
Yeah.
And then I think when they all decide that that's reality, you're going to see at least the Fed rate starting to
I think
come down a
we
little.
said it a long time ago on one of the shows. It may have been the show where I bet you a bottle of Woodford Reserve.
Did I
about
ever pay
interest
that?
rates. No.
I didn't pay that.
Judah,
He's
do
just
you
bringing
have-
up
can we
the
pull
debt
up that
you owe,
show
that's
where
all.
Keith agreed to that bet? I haven't seen that yet, but
Okay, show's over. 11:08. Thanks, guys.
Well, I think there are a couple important things.
I
love
got you that. Did
the.
I not get you that? I got you that.
Look,
No?
I'm trying to talk his way out of it.
Really?
So I think the important thing, though, is
I can't help be held responsible.
Keith's slides are really colorful, and I love it. So the right location and the right timing, those are things that are what they are. Crystal ball or not, pick your timing. Some people have to move; they don't have a choice in that.
Sure.
Some people take the opportunity because there's a funny meme on some social media. But basically, okay, if someone is waiting for the interest rate to drop back in, when was it? That was at 7 point whatever in 82 or no, it was like 13
Well, this
and
is
82.
the point where Mr. Miller would jump in and go, Keith bought his first house at 18. Keith and Yona bought his first house at 18.
But so essentially, if you'd have waited till the interest rates went down till 3%, how much rent would you have paid? How much equity would have you
so
lost?
Candace,
It's
I
amazing.
honestly believe this. This whole, other than the golden handcuffs of the 3%, everybody kind of knows that's never
well,
gonna
thankfully,
happen.
but last year, I tell you what, Q4, Q1, Q2, Q3 last year, it wasn't the case.
I
People
agree,
were
100%.
holding out, and so I think
100%.
those numbers are very reflective. And now people were waiting. We all thought it was going to drop, and it didn't. Now it'll drop at the end of the year, hopefully.
So I think Michael's more on it. People always have bought for payment. The average person, right? That does, there's a
Less
bunch
than
of
rent.
folks out there to do that, but most people try to buy as much house as their monthly payment can afford, right? That's generally how this works. Again, there's things there's other transactions that don't look that way. But
Even since just the 90s, right? Mid to late 90s, there's a lot more things that take our money now before you get to the mortgage payment, it seems like, for a lot of cases. I mean, a lot more people are using services that they're paying for and that sort of thing. It's all part of the buying is better than renting any day.
So I'm going to throw out a question, and then I'm going to kind of look up for some data. How much do you think cash transactions are starting to slow down or increase, or where do you think? Because cash is impacting the market.
Slow down.
So what do you?
I think it's slowing down. So we've had this discussion before. You didn't see it. I mean, I think we kind of both agreed it was happening, but the corporations and the hedge funds that were buying,
But not in our location, though.
it happened a few times. You're right. It wasn't a big
I
prevalent
got to
thing
tell you,
here.
when we were on vacation, that we were wandering around. And this, Candace, 'cause when you guys travel and you go away, it's where you're from, where you're staying, how many times have you been here, and what do you do for a living, right?
Right.
And when you get to that, we end up talking real estate forever.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
when you start talking to people like from Nashville or Phoenix and stuff like that, that's where there was a huge impact. So.
There was. So there was a few of those transactions here, but we had a lot of cash transactions when people were running from COVID, from the
Yeah.
Northeast corridor and the metropolitan areas, because they were selling houses up there at a premium and were able to come down here and buy a house cash. I personally see that coming, that's plateaued, if not probably dropping.
I'd say with cash first financing, it's always within certain demographics and certain price points. The thing that I really want will be for another day, though, again, not to forget, the changes not necessarily with real estate and how we communicate and are compensated, but the changes within the ability for people that need hand-holding and financing to have proper representation is always going to be prevalent. And if people that need the hand-holding, that need financing to acquire a property, don't have proper representation, they will lose out to a cash buyer who may not be offering the better terms for the seller. So again, bringing it back to proper representation is always going to be critical. And making sure that our clients have the ability to get help that they need. Feds, hello, everybody call it in. We need to make sure that these changes are happening properly so that our vets can be protected.
You know, one of the best feelings I had over the last 6 months?
What's that?
I represented a buyer, and we got them the house they wanted, and we were financing, and we won out over a full cash deal.
Awesome.
Oh,
That's because you're a pro. That's
was
because
one
you're
of
a
So
pro.
talk about how you did that. And we got a few minutes left, guys.
Well, how did I do
'Cause-
that?
'cause I just
I basically, over the course of us becoming very interested in the house, just asked the agent on the other side questions. Tell me about your client. When do they ultimately want to move?
Communication, maybe?
Communication.
That keyword?
That's a great way to put it. We communicate with the other side. I've learned what was most important to the client, and we sweetened our finance deal enough and accommodated them on a few other points that made it more attractive than the cash deal. Because in the end, if you bring them a qualified client, which is another reason I have a professional agent on the other end that's done their due diligence with their buyer to get them pre-qualified, I'm still going to have questions for them if I'm representing a seller, but a well-qualified buyer who puts down a decent deposit is not going to walk away from the deal, typically unless something tragic happens, and God forbid that should ever happen. So my point to the listing agent is, you're either going to get a check from this person or you're going to get a check from this bank. So you're going to get your money that you want. It's just that we've sweetened ours a little bit to make it more attractive.
So I'm going to round the numbers up a little bit. First half car footprint, total sales, yada, 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 roughly 1,700. Little over 500, 530 were cash. And I didn't get a chance to do the percentage ratio on that.
Is that a third?
But it's about a third, right? So we've been holding about 33rd of cash transactions. And I can tell you, over the several decades, that's not the norm, right? It's maybe 10%, 5%, that kind of thing. But this constant holding of that 3%, and it's interesting, the medium sales price for the cash transactions, back to my point about why I think it's $500,000.
Yeah.
It's the medium sales price, where you start looking into FHA and some of the conventional stuff. The FHA, the medium is at $350. The conventionals are roughly around a little over $4.5 to $475. So that's why I think this Fluvanna County.
I think the feeding frenzy on the buyer side also fueled cash offers because it made it more attractive to some people to get a cash offer. I think when the feeding frenzy goes away, personally speaking, if I have the cash laying around to go buy a $500,000, $600,000, $800,000 home, I'm not going to do it anyway. Well, I would just leave my money where it's at, parked, and earning more where it's sitting, and just make the mortgage payment every
I think
month.
too, looking at what's
So-
the what's the intent of the property?
Sure.
Is it an investment? Is it a personal family private home? Is it a starter home? Is it a vacation home? You know, those things really make a difference. And again, the demographic and the ability for whatever the intent of the property is, or the best use of that property, is going to dictate typically how the funding is going to happen. You're going to 1031 it. Lots of 1031 exchanges going on, actually, I see right now. So is that cash? Pretty much. I mean,
Well,
pretty
1031
much.
would have to be cash.
Yeah, but how is it, again, how are the realtors putting it in the system? How are we implementing the rules and making sure that our professionals are doing what they have to do? I'm so glad that it's getting stricter, because this is how the pros have been operating for years, for decades.
Amen.
So now everyone's got to be on the same playing field. We can be better for our clients, and the public get the benefit of it. We have better information for our appraisers and our lenders to go back and track. So I think it's a benefit. I think it's positive and ready to keep rocking and rolling.
Well, that's a great way to end the show and close on it. We're a little bit over an hour, so it's amazing how quick this stuff goes. Well, we're a bunch of people that like to talk, so it kind of goes fast. But look, guys, thank you very much.
Sure.
For the folks out there watching and listening. Jerry's coming back on, I believe it's the 5th of July. Yona will be here, and we're going to focus on a 4th of July special. So Jerry will be sitting where Candace is and saving my butt once again and feeding it. So my apologies for not following up on questions and fees, but we'll get back on that on the 5th. So any closing thoughts before we wrap up? Mr. Plecker, we'll start with you.
I'd say what you feel about the market now and the status is going to remain the same until late next spring.
More same.
More same.
More same.
More the same.
More same. Candace?
Nice. You know what? I love what I do. I'm positive, energetic. Everything will work out. People still, the three things, right? One of them, you got to have shelter, and we're ready to do that anytime, no matter what conditions.
You're
so
playing.
bring it.
You're
I'm
referring
positive.
to my quote, aren't you?
Always.
Well, I'm going to shut up because otherwise we're going to keep on going. So thank you everybody for watching and listening. Do me a huge favor. Please go into realtalkwithkeithsmith.com. Pull down the partners tab. The folks that are in there make this conversation possible. So please support them. And thank you very much. And we'll see everybody on the 5th of July. Have a great 4th of July. For those folks out at Lake Monticello, some awesome stuff are happening. So go ahead and take a look at it.
And if you hear fireworks on Pantops, it's not me.
Thank you, everybody.